Tom's escape here. Despite public outcry over war in the Ukraine or the many other hot conflicts across the globe at the moment, the human species has been finding ways to harm each other as far back as 2700 BC, when the first recorded conflict kicked off between the forces of Sumer and Elam in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq and Iran. No doubt there was plenty of violence before then, though records of those wars seem to be non-existent. Ignited, which Wikipedia cites as the first detailed recording and documentation of war. This war saw the Egyptian Empire clash with the Canaanites, the Kadesh, and the Kingdom of Mitanni. Each side was estimated to have forces of around 10,000 soldiers, with the Egyptian armies triumphing and expanding Egypt's empire into what is now northern Israel. But what about when soldiers set to sea? When did historians trace that to? Well, the Battle of the Delta was the first recorded ship-to-ship battle, occurring around 1175 BC and being fought between the Sea People and the Egyptians. The Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses III triumphed over the Sea People by employing various tactics, such as lining the shores with lances to propel enemy ships, lining the beach with archers for the launching of land-to-sea attacks, and most notably deploying 4 ships for the first recorded ship-to-ship warfare. Remember, this was 1175 BC, so a total 9 ships in the battle was very big news for the time. Since then, maritime warfare has come a long way, which brings us to the subject of today's video, the ironcladding of ships and the innovation towards the modern warship. The French Navy were the first to implement nailing iron to the hulls of their warships, providing a layer of armour, though considerably slowing their ships. This process was dubbed ironcladding, and this is where the saying "an ironclad alibi" came from. That is to say, a bulletproof alibi in modern terms. The French ironclad Gloire was launched in 1859 and is recognised as the first ocean-going ironclad ship, which was developed after the Crimean War, when these new naval guns with explosive shells burst into the scene and devastated the wooden boats of the time. This wasn't the first boat to use the ironcladding technique. The French floating battery, Larve, had used the ironcladding technique in 1855 to storm Russian naval forts, though Gloire was the first ocean-going ship to use the technique. This innovative idea rapidly made its way around the globe and was implemented in America in the American Civil War, resulting in the first battle between 2 ironclad ships in history in 1862. This was the famous Battle of Hampton Roads, which is widely known about and taught at schools around the world. The naval battle included the USA government's USS Monitor and the Confederate Navy's CSS Virginia. As these 2 ships clashed, they demonstrated the power of the ironclad to the world. The 2 ships battled for hours before realizing that they couldn't penetrate the other. They just didn't have the right kind of armor-piercing shell. The battle showed the world that the future of ships was metal, and the battle changed maritime warfare forever. That said, these 2 ships were more akin to modern-day submarines, having limited surface space above the waterline. So how did we end up with the floating weapons of destruction that are today's warships? Following the Battle of Hampton Roads, there was a rapid advancement in naval ships globally. The United Kingdom's Navy stayed a step ahead in terms of naval innovation, and they were the first to develop and launch a modern Navy ship, which was the HMS Devastation, launched in 1871 and commissioned 2 years later. This was the first ocean-going warship to not carry sails and to mount all of its armament on the deck, not beneath it. HMS Devastation gave birth to the modern warship, and many nations noticed and began to copy the design. This style of battleship quickly made the ironclad vessels redundant. In the lead-up to World War I, many European navies were in a stage of development and testing. The Austrian Navy developed SMS Kaiser Karl VI and her sister ships such as Erzherzog Ferdinand Max, which was commissioned in the early 1900s. The Erzherzog Ferdinand Max carried a total of 16 guns mounted across the ship. All in all, she was a fossil-fuel powered weapon of death, though her military service only consisted of sinking an ironclad Italian vessel by ramming her head-on. Subsequently, every major navy in the world focused on ramming as their major tactic for ship-to-ship warfare for the following decade. In 1906, the British Navy launched HMS Dreadnought, which pioneered the modern battleship. HMS Dreadnought is widely touted by historians as the first modern battleship, and the ship was so well armoured and well equipped that previous battleships were retroactively named pre-Dreadnought battleships. This steel-hulled monster, armed with 10 12-inch guns for blasting away its opponents and a second smaller battery for shooting at enemy boats and aircraft, revolutionized naval warfare forever. Even a quick look at the navies of the United States of America, the United Kingdom, or China can draw substantial similarities to the first British dreadnought, HMS Dreadnought. So the next time you look at a modern warship, think back to the British Navy, who developed and deployed some of the first warships as we know them today.